Hi guys, here we are continuing our lecture series on irrigation water management. You can follow me on Instagram or Telegram to get notification related to our video lecture series. The links are in the description box. So coming to the first question, that is in neutron scattering method, DAS is used as a slow neutron detector. The options are radium, americium, beryllium, or lithium enriched boron trifluoride. So here the correct answer of this question is lithium enriched boron trifluoride. Then what is this neutron scattering method and what is the principle of this neutron scattering method? Now we'll discuss this. So here this neutron scattering method is also known as depth moisture gauge. Depth moisture gauge. So here the principle is neutron scattering method. The instrument contains two things. The first one is the probe, and inside probe radioactive substances like radium or actinium is there. Radium or actinium. And this radium or actinium releases alpha particles. And when these alpha particles strike beryllium or americium, these substances release fast moving neutrons. Okay. These fast moving neutrons, when come in contact with the hydrogen atom of water present in soil, hydrogen atom of the soil water, then these fast moving neutrons get deflected and their speed gets slowed down. And the lithium enriched boron trifluoride is in the slow moving neutron detector, and this lithium enriched boron trifluoride detects the slow moving neutrons. And the scalar unit, another thing is that the scalar unit is present which represent the reading of the slow moving neutrons. Okay, and these slow moving neutrons or the quantity of or amount of slow moving neutron is calibrated with the soil moisture content, because it is related to soil moisture content. If the soil moisture content is higher, then the number of slow moving neutron is higher. If soil moisture content is lower, then the quantity or the number of slow moving neutron is slower or lesser. Okay, so in this way it is related to soil moisture content, and indirectly soil moisture content can be estimated from the number of slow moving neutrons. So this method is an indirect method of soil moisture estimation. Okay. Then coming to the next question, that is the neutron scattering method is not suitable for soil moisture determination in which soil? So here the correct answer of this question is it is not suitable for organic soils. Why it is so? Because in organic soils, organic matters are present in which hydrogen atom is also there. So when we use this method in organic soil, then the fast moving neutrons, there is a chance that some of the fast moving neutrons can collide with the hydrogen atom of the organic matters. As a result, this will give some faulty readings. Okay, that is the reason why the neutron scattering method cannot be used in organic soil. And another thing is that, remember, this neutron scattering method is not used in moisture determination of top 15 centimeter soil. Okay, what is the reason of that? Because when this neutron scattering method is used in top 15 centimeter soil, there is a chance that some of the neutrons may escape from the soil into the atmosphere. So as a result, the reading will be faulty one. So this method should not be used in top 15 centimeter soil. So this method of neutron scattering method, or this method, is very suitable for estimating moisture in situ, means under the field condition and on a large volume of soil, and it estimates the soil moisture content on volumetric basis. Then coming to the next question, that is DAS method is used for measurement of soil moisture constants and preparation of soil moisture characteristic curve. This question we have already discussed. The correct answer of this question is pressure plate and membrane apparatus. Okay, so here we have to remember the thing that the pressure plate apparatus is applicable or useful up to 2 atmospheric pressure, whereas pressure membrane apparatus is useful up to 15 atmospheric pressure. Okay, So in pressure plate or pressure membrane apparatus, soil sample is kept, after which a definite pressure is applied. For example, we have to estimate the field capacity. So first we'll saturate the soil, then we'll keep the soil sample inside the pressure plate or pressure membrane apparatus. After that, we'll apply a definite pressure. Like at field capacity, we have to apply 0.33 bar pressure. When 0.33 bar pressure will be applied, here the outside of the sample, the pressure is 0.33 bar. But what is the water potential or water pressure inside the sample? It is 0 bar because it is at the saturation stage. So definitely water will start moving from the soil sample towards outside to maintain the equilibrium. Okay. So in this case, the water will be released from the soil sample, and the water, after making equilibrium, the water remain inside the soil will be the water content at the field capacity. Then the soil sample will be removed from the pressure plate apparatus, and the soil moisture content will be estimated using gravimetric method. So this will give us the soil moisture content and field capacity. So in this way, the soil moisture content or the soil moisture constants can be determined by using pressure plate or pressure membrane apparatus under laboratory condition. Then coming to the next question, that is in gamma ray attenuation technique, dash is used as a source of gamma ray. So this technique is similar to neutron moisture meter, in which neutron was used, but in this case, instead of neutron, gamma ray was used. Okay, so for this gamma ray, then which element is the source of gamma ray? So the correct answer of this question is cesium. Okay, so for gamma ray attenuation technique, cesium is used as a source of gamma ray. Then coming to the next question, that is in colorimetric method of soil moisture determination, dash is used. So the correct answer of this question is 0.34% cobalt chloride. So this cobalt chloride is used for measurement of soil moisture by using colorimetric method. Then coming to the next question, that is which of the following chemicals is used for moisture determination? Calcium carbide, calcium carbonate, calcium oxide, or calcium hydroxide? So the correct answer of this question is calcium carbide. So calcium carbide, in the presence of moisture, this calcium carbide releases acetylene gas. And this acetylene gas creates a pressure inside the tube. And one vacuum gauge or pressure monitoring system is attached to the system, so that any change in the pressure will be measured by that gauge. And this will indicate whether the soil moisture content is higher or lower. If the gas content is higher, it means soil moisture content is higher. If gas content is lower, it means soil moisture content is lower. So this is also an indirect method of soil moisture estimation, in which calcium carbide is used to react with water and release acetylene gas, and the content of this acetylene gas gives us the content of soil moisture content. Okay. Then coming to the next question, that is under laboratory condition, dash is used for measurement of hydraulic conductivity. So we have already discussed what is hydraulic conductivity. It is the proportionality constant in Darcy's law, and the unit of hydraulic conductivity is centimeter per second. Okay, that is length divided by time. Okay, so here the correct answer of this question is under laboratory condition, permeameter is used for measurement of hydraulic conductivity. So this permeameter can be of two types. One is falling head type, or another one is constant head type. So the falling head type permeameter is suitable for finer texture materials like silt or clay, where the hydraulic conductivity is less than 100 meter per year. Okay, so the unit of hydraulic conductivity is length per time. So here the unit is meter per year. So if the hydraulic conductivity is less than 100 meter per year, then falling head permeameter is used, and it is used in case of silt or clay type soil. But in case of coarse texture materials like coarse sand or gravels, in this case, constant head type permeameter is used, in which the hydraulic conductivity is more than 100 meter per year. So this is the criteria. If the hydraulic conductivity is less than 100 meter per year, then falling head type permeameter is used. If hydraulic conductivity is more than 100 meter per year, then constant head type permeameter is used. And permeameter is used for measurement of hydraulic conductivity under the laboratory condition. But what is the limitation of this permeameter? Permeameter, the major limitation of this permeameter is, as it is used under laboratory condition, it may not truly represent the soil condition under the natural field condition. Okay, because we have to collect the soil sample, we have to make the soil profile by making compact. So during this compaction process, the actual soil condition under field and what is the soil condition under laboratory condition, this may not match. So as a result, this permeameter may give some faulty reading under laboratory condition. So this is the major limitation of use of permeameter for estimation of hydraulic conductivity. But under field condition, this hydraulic conductivity can be measured, which is better for estimation, means which gives better value as compared to this permeameter. So for field measurement of hydraulic conductivity, auger hole method is used. Okay, this auger hole method of hydraulic conductivity measurement was given by Hughes. So the correct answer of this question, that auger hole method or field method of hydraulic conductivity measurement was given by Hughes. Another method can also be used, that is pipe cavity method or piezometric method. And this piezometric method of pipe cavity method of hydraulic conductivity measurement was given by Kirkham. Okay, so these are some extra questions you have to remember. Then coming to the next question, that is, if a cell has turgid pressure of 10 bar and solid pressure of 18 bar, and cell B has turgid pressure of 6 bar and solid pressure of 20 bar, then water will move in which direction? Here the question says there are two plant cells, A and B. At A, the turgid pressure is 10 bar and the solid pressure is 18 bar. Similarly, at B, the turgid pressure is 6 bar and solid pressure is 20 bar. So in which direction water will move? So before solving this question, we should understand what are the cell water potential components in a plant and how it is related to soil water potential, or is there any difference between soil water potential and plant cell water potential? So that thing we'll discuss in this question. So this is very important question and this is also interesting. So here plant water cell or plant cell water, in this case, there are two things are there, means old terminology and new terminology. So old terminology was like diffusion pressure deficit, and which is similar to soil, plant cell water potential. And we know that cell water potential is always negative. So in also soil, same thing was there, soil water potential and soil water tension. Soil water tension was always positive and soil water potential was always negative. Similarly, in plant cell, the cell water potential is negative and diffusion pressure deficit is always positive. Hence, water always moves from higher water potential to lower cell water potential, or lower diffusion pressure deficit to higher diffusion pressure deficit. Then what are the components of diffusion pressure deficit and what are the components of cell water potential? So the components of cell water potentials are osmotic potential, turgor or pressure potential, a metric potential. So osmotic potential is due to the salts or the solutes present in the cell. And these salts or solutes hold water or bind the water and does not let the water to go outside. That is the reason it reduces the potential energy of water, and the osmotic potential is always negative. And the force with which salts hold the water, the force is known as osmotic force or osmotic pressure, and the value of osmotic pressure is always positive. Then coming to next, that is turgid pressure, it is always positive. Turgid pressure is the pressure exerted by the water on the cell wall, or the cell wall means this turgid pressure indicates the turgidity of a cell, and if torsion pressure is high, then plant cell moisture content is high, and it helps in maintaining the shape of the cell. The counterpart of this torsion pressure is torsion or pressure potential, and the value of torsion or pressure potential is positive or negative. And this positive or negative value depends on the status of cell. If the cell is turgid, then torsion potential is positive. If cell is flaccid, then the torsion potential is 0. And if cell is plasmolized, then the torsion or pressure potential is negative. Then what is turgid, what is flaccid, and what is plasmolized? When a cell is placed in a hypertonic solution means the salt or the solute concentration of the solution is higher than that of the cell. Okay, so here the hypertonic solution has higher solute concentration as compared to the cell. So as a result, water will move from lower osmotic pressure to higher osmotic pressure. So inside cell, the solute concentration is lower. It means inside cell, the osmotic pressure, osmotic force is lower. As a result, the water will move from the cell towards the hypertonic solution. And after some times, the water content of the cell will be reduced and the cell will be said that it is plasmolized. Okay, so this is the plasmolysis. And the next thing is flaccid. When the cell is placed in an isotonic solution means solute concentration in the solution is same as that of the cell solute concentration. As a result, the water will not move outside or come inside because the solute concentration outside the cell and inside the cell is same. As a result, the equilibrium will be maintained and the cell is known as flaccid cell. And when the cell is placed in a hypotonic solution means hypo means the solute concentration is lesser as compared to the cell. As a result, it means that inside the cell, the solute concentration is higher. So there is a gradient and water will move from the hypotonic solution to inside the cell. As a result, the water content inside the cell will increase and the cell will expand, cell will maintain its original shape and size, and it will impart a torsion pressure against the cell wall or the plasma membrane. So this is all about torsion pressure, and the torsion pressure is always positive, and the value of torsion potential or pressure potential, it may be positive or negative depending on the cell type. In case of turgid cell, the value of torsion pressure or pressure potential is positive. In case of flaccid cell, it is 0, and in case of plasmolized cell, it is negative. And coming to the next, that is metric potential or metric pressure. Metric potential is due to the cell matrix, extracellular matrix. Matrix means like protein or polysaccharides which have some adhesive substances, and due to these adhesive substances, water stick to the on these matrix substances like polysaccharide or proteins. Okay, as a result, the potential energy of water will be reduced. That is the reason why metric potential is always negative, but the metric force is always positive. Okay, because the metric force indicates the ability of the extracellular substances to hold water in it. So here the force, metric force or metric pressure is always positive. Then what is the formula of DPD or diffusion pressure deficit? The formula is metric pressure or metric pressure, metric force plus osmotic pressure or osmotic force minus torsion pressure. If cell water content is higher, it means that turgid pressure is higher. If cell water content is higher, it means osmotic pressure or metric pressure is lower. That is the reason why diffusion pressure deficit is always metric pressure plus osmotic pressure minus torsion pressure. Because here torsion pressure higher means diffusion pressure deficit is lower. It means water will not come inside. And if metric pressure or osmotic pressure is higher, it means water is deficient inside cell and water should move outside to inside cell. So in this case, if we calculate using this formula diffusion pressure deficit, then for cell A, the diffusion pressure deficit will be 18 minus 10, that is 8 bar. But in case of cell B, the diffusion pressure deficit will be 20 minus 6, that is 14 bar. And we know that water always moves from lower diffusion pressure density to higher diffusion pressure density, it means water will move from cell A to cell B. So the correct answer of this question is water will move from cell A to cell B. So this is the correct answer. Now we'll compare soil water potential concept with plant cell water potential concept. So in case of soil water potential concept, what were the components of soil water potential? They were gravitational potential, osmotic potential, pressure potential. Okay. And in case of cell water potential or plant cell water potential, the components are same, that is gravitational potential, osmotic potential, pressure potential. Instead of pressure potential here, it is torture potential. And another extra thing is that metric potential, because this metric potential is due to cell matrix, and in soil there is no cell matrix. That is the reason in soil metric potential is not there. So in soil metric potential is there, but that metric potential and this metric potential is different. Okay, so now we'll discuss one by one. So in case of soil, gravitational potential can be positive or it can be negative. So when gravitational potential is positive in soil, when the point of reference, okay, in soil, we can take one point of reference. When the point of consideration or at which we are measuring gravitational potential, if it is above the point of reference, then gravitational potential is positive. And if the point of reference is below if the point of consideration is below the point of reference, then gravitational potential is negative. So in soil, gravitational potential can be positive or negative. But in case of plant, gravitational potential can be can be negative or zero. So when gravitational potential is zero, when the plant height is very less, or like our field crops. So in field crops, the gravitational potential is negligible, and normally we ignore the gravitational potential. But in tall plants, the gravitational potential is considered, in which the gravitational potential is negative, because the force of gravity is towards downward, and when water is moving upward, then the potential energy of water will be reduced due to the force of gravity. That is the reason why gravitational potential is negative in case of taller plants. But in case of short height plants, gravitational potential is negligible, so we ignore this gravitational potential. So it is concept is clear with respect to gravitational potential. Then coming to the next, that is osmotic potential. Osmotic potential is always negative in case of soil. Also in case of plant, osmotic potential is always negative. But the counterpart of osmotic potential is osmotic force, and osmotic force is always positive. And in plant also, osmotic force is always positive. Then coming to next, that is pressure potential. In pressure potential of soil, it can be positive. When pressure potential is positive, it is known as hydrostatic potential. We have already discussed this thing, hydrostatic potential. And when pressure potential is negative, it is known as metric potential. Okay, don't be confused with this metric potential and this metric potential. These two things are different. Okay, so here pressure potential is negative and known as metric potential under unsaturated soil, and pressure potential is known as hydrostatic potential, and the sign is positive when the soil is saturated. Okay, the concept is simple. And in soil, in plant, this pressure potential is known as torture potential, and this torture potential is positive, always positive in case of turgid cells, and zero in case of flaccid cells, and negative in case of plasmolyzed cells, that we have already discussed. And then coming to next, that is metric potential. Metric potential is always negative. Okay, and metric force or metric pressure is always positive. So this metric potential is similar to osmotic pressure type, osmotic potential type. Okay, so this concept is very clear now. So actually this thing is very confusing. That is why I am taking much time in clarifying the concept of potentials. And remember always the formula, that is DPD, diffusion pressure density, is always OP minus TP, osmotic pressure minus torture pressure. If metric pressure is also present, then it is MP plus OP minus TP. Then coming to the next question, that is if fresh weight is 1750 gram and dry weight is 750 gram and turgid weight is 1950 gram, then what is the cell water content? So here the question is very simple and the formula is also very simple. The formula of cell water content is fresh weight minus dry weight divided by fresh weight into 100. So it is there is slight difference between soil moisture content formula and cell water content formula. So here the denominator is fresh weight, but in case of soil, the formula was fresh weight minus dry weight by dry weight into 100. Okay, this formula is for soil moisture content. But in case of plant, the moisture content can be determined using formula fresh weight minus dry weight divided by fresh weight into 100. So here the fresh weight is 1750 minus dry weight is 750 divided by fresh weight is 1750. Okay, so the answer will be around 57%. So the moisture content of cell here is the 57%. Then another question can be asked like what is the relative water content? Okay, so this is the water content formula. Then another formula is what is the relative water content. So relative water content formula is fresh weight minus dry weight divided by turgid weight minus dry weight. So what is the total water that can be stored in a cell, and out of that, what is the actual moisture present in the cell? So that is the relative water content. So here fresh weight is 1750 minus dry weight is 750 divided by turgid weight is 1950 minus dry weight is 750. So the answer is, so here it is 1000 divided by 1200. So it is around 83%. So relative water content is 83%, whereas the actual water content of the cell is 57%. This is all about today. I hope the concepts are clear now. In this way, we'll continue the irrigation water management chapter and we'll cover it. So if you like this video, don't forget to like the video and share with your friends. Thank you for listening. Take care.